Hello guys, welcome back to Stylized Creations. This is the fourth episode of my tutorial series on how to create a character model using Blender. Now that I've completed the base mesh, it's time to give him a little bit of life and some movement, and that will be done through animations. So to get started, I'm going to create the skeleton for our character model, also known as an armature. And we're going to add a few constraints, focusing mainly on Inverse Kinematics to easily animate this guy. And if you missed the creation of the base mesh, feel free to check out the other videos on this tutorial series. I'll drop the link in the description. Once again, this is a beginner's tutorial. I really do hope you enjoyed this video and that you are still enjoying this series. And also that you find it helpful for your character modeling journey. Once again, let's get started. So before I start with reading this model, first thing I want to do is I want to scale him down. So yes, let's select this model and start by scaling him down. So left click to select it, and let's open up the transform menu with N. So press N on your keyboard to open up this little menu, and press S to scale it down. So S, and let's just scale it down to right about there is fine. Like that is fine. Let's just zoom in. You can actually press numpad full stop to zoom into the mesh. Yes. And we can actually hide this menu, but before we do that, let's just press G, C and move it up to where his feet is actually touching the x-axis line. So where his feet is actually touching the red line. So right about there is fine. Yes. And we can press Ctrl A and apply all transforms. So as you can see, the location is set to 0, rotation is 0, and the scale is set to 1. And that's what we want. And we can close this little menu by pressing N again. And with the mesh still selected, press Tab to go into edit mode. And I want to make his legs a bit longer and his arms a bit shorter, because they're not looking right at the moment. So yes, let's get started. So let's press C and select wireframe to go into wireframe mode. And let's select this part of his body. So just box select it and press G, Z to move it up like that. And we can select this part as well. Press G, Z and move it up to right about there is fine. And we can select this part and just move it down a bit. So right about there, because his torso was looking a bit too tall for me. And we can select the hand and just press GX and move it inwards a bit like that. Also, while I'm moving it, I'm holding down Shift for a bit more control. We can actually make this arm a bit shorter like that, and press numpad 7 to go into top view and select the hand bone, not the bone, the hand mesh actually. Select the hand and press G, X to move it in. Let's select this part as well, press G, X to move it in. And we can select the thumb like that and press R to rotate it like that. And we are almost done. Other thing I've noticed is his foot. Now the foot is not looking so good. It's looking a bit thin and I don't like that. So I'm going to select one vertex and press Shift and S and click on cursor to selected to set the 3D cursor to the selected vertex, and come up here to the pivot point and left click it and select 3D cursor. And right now we can go into front view and select the foot and press SX to scale it on the x-axis from the 3D cursor. So like that is fine. And I'm happy with my results. And let's just press Alt left click and let's reset the pivot point to median point. And we've selected this and just press S to scale it down, GX to move it inwards a bit. Like that, we can actually scale it up a bit more. Yeah, that's fine. So yes, I'm happy with my results. I hope you're also happy with yours. And if you're happy with yours, then we can continue. So now that we're done, let's just go back into solid view by pressing C and selecting solid. and press tab to exit edit mode. So now we can add the bones, basically the armature. We can start with rigging. So to add a bone, press Shift A, or you can come up here where it says add, select armature, single bone, and as you can see, the bone is now, actually Blender added the bone to where the 3D cursor is. So let's just reset it. So let's press Ctrl Z to undo and press Shift C to reset the 3D cursor to the center of our world. And let's add the bone again. At this time I'm going to press Shift A, armature, single bone, and that's what we want. And let's come down here to the object data properties. Click on it and select viewport display, and to where it says show in front, we want the bone to appear in front of the mesh like this. We want to see the bone actually. It just simplifies things and makes it easier to work with. With the bone selected, press G, X to move it up to right about there is fine, and press tab to go into edit mode. And let's select this part, press G, Z to move it downwards on the Z axis to right about there is fine. Select the bone and move it downwards a bit more, G, Z, like that. That's fine. And we can actually go into wireframe mode, so press Z and select wireframe. Now you can actually use the meshes edges to help you to where to place your bones. So for instance, this part will be the hip area, and let's press E and Z to extrude it up like that. And this could be his spine, and press EZ again. This could be his chest, and let's just E and Z again, the neck, and EZ one more time for the head bone, like that. Now that we're done with that, let's select this bone and press Shift T to duplicate it. Left click, press R to rotate it. We can actually say 90 degrees, like that, and place it right there. Select this part and press GX to move it inwards a bit, like that. And now we can get started with our arms. So just press E and X, and press EX again. Right about there, let's press numpad 7 to go into top view. Oops. And select this part as well and move it backwards a bit. And this part, move it forwards a bit like this. And EX again, and this one is for the hand. So we're almost done. Right now let's select this bone and press Shift D again to duplicate it and place it right there. Press S to scale it down. And place it right about there is fine. Just select this part, G, X, to move it right about there. Now, as you can see, I'm using these three lines to help me to where to place my bones. So yes. And now with this bone selected, let's come down here to the bone properties tab and select relations, and let's just clear the parent and reset his parent to, I think it's bone number 8. Yes, to the hand bone. It will just simplify things for making this hand the parent of this, making this bone the parent of this bone. Yes. So now with the selected, press Shift D. You can actually press Y to move it down like that, and Shift D again, Y. Now we are done with the hand. Let's move on to the legs. So let's press numpad 1 to go into front view. We can actually Yes, we can do that later. And press Shift D to duplicate. Place it right about there, it's fine. And press R 180 to rotate it 180 degrees. Move it downwards to right about there, is fine. And select this part, press G, Z to move it down, like that. Select this part and press E, Z to move it downwards, right about there. Let's press numpad 3 to come into side view, and press E to extrude it down, right about there is fine, and E, Y to extrude it out forwards, like that. Now I've noticed that our bones are not actually facing the correct way. So that might be because of its roll. I don't know how that happens actually. So yes, so let's just press N. And the way it says roll, it's minus 27 degrees. I'm going to set mine to 0. Now it looks like it's facing the right way. So again, 0 with the foot as well. 0 and 0. So you might want to make sure that yours is facing the right way, or else you will end up with a few errors when we're adding the inverse kinematics constraints and also the child constraints. So yes, now that we're done with the legs, let's start naming our bones. So to name the bones is actually easy. You just have to choose a naming convention, a good naming convention. When it comes to the shoulder, with the shoulders and the arms and the legs, you might want to name it, to set it to .L and .R. So yeah, let me show you what I mean. So let's select this bone and name it to hip. And let's select this bone. Also, let's name it to spine. I only have one spine, so yeah. And let's name this one to chest. Nope, not chest. Chest. And let's name this one to neck. And head bone. Like that. And for the shoulder, let's name it to shoulder, obviously, .L. And this one to upper arm .L. .L. Now you might want to make sure that your .L is set to a capital letter L. And lower arm .L. And let's press numpad 7 to go into top view and numpad full stop to zoom in. So let's select this bone and select it to hand.L. And now for this part. And I think I'm going to fast forward this part as well. So yes. Now that we are done with naming our fingers, so it's like pinky 1, 2, and 3, and the ring finger 1, 2, and 3, and middle finger 1, 2, and 3, and I've saved mine to 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, so the index is 1, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, thumb 1, thumb 2, and thumb 3, .L. So yes, now let's first select the shoulder bone and let's set his parent to the neck bone. So neck, yes, like that. And let's start by naming his legs. So we want to name this one to upper leg .L, lower leg .L, and let's select this part and name it to foot .L. And for the toes, I don't actually know if I should name it to toe or toes. I'm gonna name it to toes, even though there's one bone. I'm still gonna call it toes. Sorry guys. So yes, and let's set the upper leg's parent to the hip, like that. So now we are almost done. The next thing I want to do is I want to add the IK bones. So this part is relatively easy, and we can start off by adding the hand IK. So select this part of the bone and press E to extrude it out on the Y axis. So E and Y. And with this bone selected, let's just name it to hand ik.l, and we can clear his parent, deselect or disable deform, and when we select the bone, now you can see it's not attached to the skeleton, and we can repeat the process by selecting this part and pressing E, Y to extrude it out. And let's name this one to elbow ik.l. Also, let's clear the parent and select disable deform, and let's select the entire bone and press G, Y to move it backwards to right about there. Right about there seems to be fine. And I want to select this hand bone as well and just deselect or disable the inherent rotation, because we want its rotation to be independent from this bone. So yes, let's go back into front view by pressing numpad 1. Let's select this part and go into side view by pressing numpad 3 and press E, Y to extrude it out. With this bone selected, let's name it to foot ik.l. Clear the parent and disable deformity, and select this bone, the foot bone, and disable its inherent rotation. So again, we want the foot's rotation to be independent from the leg's rotation. So yes, let's select this part as well, numpad 3 again, press E, Y to extrude it out, like that. With this bone selected, let's call it knee ik.l. Clear parent and disable deform. I just want to make sure that I've done the same here. Yes, I did. And with it still selected, press G, Y to move it forward on the Y axis. So yes, now we are done with creating all of our bones, and let's start by adding a few constraints. So let's go out of edit mode into object mode with the armature still selected. Click here and let's go into pose mode. Now we're going to add the IK constraints and also child constraints. Yes, those two are important for now. So select this bone. Let's come down to the bones constraints tab right about here. Add constraint, Inverse Kinematics. For the target, we're going to select the armature. For the bone, we're going to select the hand ik.l. And for the pole target, we're also going to select the armature. For the bone, we're going to select the elbow. So elbow ik.l. Now you'll see that the mesh is now acting very weird and stuff. So let's set the chain length to 2, so 1, 2. And the pole angle to -90. Now yours might differ. If that's the case, try to set it to 90 or 180 or even 0. In my case, mine is fine. So as you can see, when I move it, you can see, and you can also see that the hand is not moving with the arm, so it's independent, the rotation is independent. But when we're trying to rotate it, it will not rotate with it. So let's select the hand and add and make it a child of the hand.ik or the hand ik. So select child of, select the target will be the armature, and the hand will be hand ik.l. And now it's acting weird again. Click on set inverse to set the inverse. And as you can see, when you press R and selecting Z, it's rotating with the IK bone. And that's what we want. So let's just clear the transforms on the IK bone. And as you can see, now you have a fully functioning hand and arm. And that's what we want. So let's do the same for the foot as well, or for the legs. So select this bone, press numpad full stop to zoom in. You can actually press numpad 1 for front view. With this bone selected, the lower leg, add constraints, inverse kinematics, the target set to armature, bone set to foot ik.l, this one, pole target set to armature, bone set to knee ik, this one. And same, it's acting weird again, as usual. So let's set the chain length to 2, pole target to -90, and we are good to go. And again, nothing happens. So let's make the foot a child object of the foot ik. Set inverse. Oops, mine is still not working. Okay. Okay, so I seem to have fixed that error. Yes, and my leg seems to be working fine. Okay, so we are done with applying our constraints. So let's go back into edit mode and select this part of the bones and right click and press symmetrize, and let's go back to pose mode. And as you can see now, this hand is behaving all weirdly. To fix that problem, just select the bone and click set inverse, and select this bone and set the inverse on it as well. And as you can see, we now have a fully functioning skeleton. So yes. And we can actually add one more constraint, and that will be to the hand ik as well. So add bone constraint, make it a child of target, and set this one to the hip bone. So hip, oops, to hip, set inverse, and with this one as well, add constraint child of armature, hip, like that. Set the inverse, and we are good to go. Now the reason for that is when you're moving the hip bone down, the hands move down as well, and you in real life, when you do it, the result will be the same, and that's what we want. So that is it for this video. Yeah, we are done, and let's press C to go back into solid view, and our character now has a skeleton. So yes. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I hope this video was helpful to you. And if you want me to add something, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section telling me what you want me to add to future tutorials. Also, give this video a thumbs up by hitting the like button, and please do hit the subscribe button for the growth of this channel, as it will help me a lot. So stay safe guys, and we'll get started in the next video.